So you've been searching online, you find a law, and you think, perfect. But can you actually rely on it? Is it the real deal? Today, we're going to put on our detective hats. We're going to figure out how to be absolutely sure that the law you're looking at is legit, current, real, and enforceable. All right, so here's our game plan for this little investigation. First up, we'll talk about a super common trap you got to avoid. Then we'll hunt down the official version of the law. After that, we'll figure out when it actually, turned on. Then comes the fun part, tracking its changes. And we'll finish up by tackling something called the currency gap. That's the final check that makes sure everything is totally airtight. Okay, let's dive right in with the biggest problem, the one trap that catches almost everyone when they're just starting out. Seriously, this is the very first question you have to ask yourself. Because, let's be honest, a quick search online can feel like a win, but it can also send you down a completely wrong path if you're not super careful. Look, finding a version of a law, that's the easy part. The dangerous part is relying on one that's outdated. You could be looking at a statute that's missing a tiny amendment that literally changes everything, or heck, the whole thing might have been repealed. Even worse, maybe the part you need isn't even in effect yet. Trusting that bad info? Yeah, that's a massive mistake. So, how do we sidestep that landmine? It's simple, really. You have to start your investigation at a reliable source. The real question is, where do you find one? These are your go-to starting points. You've got government sites like the Justice Law's website for federal stuff and ELAWS for Ontario. What they give you is a consolidated version. Think of it like a quilt. They've taken the original law and stitched in all the amendments over the years, so you get one clean, current document. And CanLaw? It's an absolutely amazing free resource that does this for all over Canada. And listen, that word official, it's everything. Starting your search here, it's like a detective securing the scene of the crime. You're setting up your baseline, your ground truth. This is the one step you can't skip if you want your whole investigation to stand up. Okay, so we've got the official text. Great. But hold on, we're not done. Just because a law exists on paper doesn't mean it's actually, on. We have to figure out if it's been activated. And this is where things get really interesting. There's a huge difference between a law being created and a law being activated. Think of royal assent as the law's birthday. It's the moment a bill gets signed and officially becomes an act. The law now exists, but often the government wants to turn it on later, maybe piece by piece. That's where proclamation comes in. It's the official announcement that basically says, all right, people, as of today, this law is live and enforceable. So the magic term you're always hunting for is coming into force, or CIF. That CIF date is the law's official start date. Without knowing that date, you have no idea if the words you're reading have any real power. Now, there is a default setting, which is kind of handy. If the law is totally silent on a start date, no mention of proclamation or anything, it automatically comes into force on the day it gets royal assent. But, and this is a big but, you can never just assume that's the case. You've got to dig into the act and read the coming into force section yourself, every single time. All right, time for the real detective stuff. We've got our official document. We know when it came to life. Now, let's see how its story has twisted and turned and what other people, like judges, have had to say about it. This whole process has a name. It's called noting up. And noting up is how you make your research completely bulletproof. It's all about answering two, and only two, absolutely critical questions about your law. And here they are, the two sides of that coin. Question 1. Have the politicians changed the words? Has it been amended or maybe even totally scrapped? Question 2. How have the courts dealt with it? Because even if the words on the page haven't changed in 50 years, a single court decision can flip the meaning of a phrase on its head. So, what's in our detective toolkit for this? Well, you've got some options. CanLaw is your free, all-purpose tool. It's amazing for finding court cases that have cited a specific part of a law. But if you really need to do a deep dive, the paid services, we're talking KeyCite or QuickCite, they're like the high-powered forensic kits. They dig up older cases, link you to expert articles, the whole shebang. And you can see what I mean right here. These commercial tools give you a massive advantage. They don't just give you a list. They build an entire web of information around one single section of a law. They'll connect you to every court case, every academic article, giving you this incredible 360-degree view of what that law actually means in the real world. Okay, we're on the home stretch. This is the final piece of the puzzle. This is the pro move that really separates the good research from the great and makes your work totally unshakable. It's all about something called the currency gap. So when you look at a law online, you'll see a little note that says something like current to February 1st. That's great, but what if today's date is, say, February 19th? That little window of time between the website's last update and right now, that's the currency gap. And trust me, a law can change in a couple of weeks. So how do you close that gap? It's a simple 3-step process. Step 1, write down that current to date. Step 2, head over to the legislature's website and look for any bills that were passed in that gap period. Step 3, the crucial part. Check if any of those new bills mess with a specific section you're looking at, and, this is key, if that change is already in force. As legal research expert Tjaden says, you just can't be sure unless you check. It might feel like overkill. I mean, what are the odds your specific law changed in the last 3 weeks? But you can't afford to assume. That's a risk a good legal detective just doesn't take. So you see, closing that currency gap isn't just about dotting your I's and crossing your T's. It's the final, critical step that transforms good research into truly airtight legal analysis. It guarantees you're working with the law as it exists today. And there you have it. That's the Legal Detective's Toolkit. You now know how to hunt down the official version, check if it's on, trace its history, and close that currency gap to make sure it's up to the minute. So, the only question left is, what law are you going to investigate first?